The rain fell in sheets, drowning the city in a cold grey curtain. Standing under the awning of a closed-down diner, a young boy hugged his tattered backpack to his chest, shivering as the wind howled around him. He had nowhere to go and the world felt too big and too cruel. He was just a kid, alone, trying to disappear into the shadows. But as he wiped the rain from his eyes, he saw a warm glow from a large window across the street. It was a mansion, a palace of light and gold. Inside, a man was laughing with his family, oblivious to the world outside. The boy turned away, ashamed of his own reflection in the glass. He didn't know it then, but that man behind the window was about to become his miracle. Elias was only 14. He had been surviving on the streets for 6 months after his mother passed away, and the foster system had failed him. He wasn't a bad kid, he was just a quiet one, a boy who had been dealt a hand that was too heavy to hold. He spent his days in the public library, reading old adventure novels, and his nights looking for safe corners to sleep. He kept to himself, never begging, never stealing. He believed that if he stayed invisible, he wouldn't get hurt. The mansion across the street belonged to Arthur Sterling, a self-made millionaire who had built a technology empire from his garage. Arthur had everything money could buy: a beautiful wife, a loving daughter, and a house that looked like a castle. But Arthur was a man consumed by stress. He was so busy building his financial fortress that he had built walls around his own heart. To him, the world was a business transaction and compassion was a liability. One Friday evening, Arthur was returning home in his luxury sedan after a tense board meeting. He was frustrated, his mind racing with numbers and deadlines. As his car pulled into the gated driveway, he saw Elias huddled near his mailbox, trying to get a few minutes of rest out of the rain. Arthur's security guard had just shooed him away, and the boy looked up, his eyes filled with a desperate pleading light. Arthur felt a flash of irritation. "Get him out of here," he muttered to his driver. "I don't want loiterers near the property." Elias overheard the muffled order. He scrambled to his feet, but he didn't run. Instead, he looked directly at Arthur. "Sir," he called out, his voice soft but clear. "Please, I'm not here to cause any trouble. I was cold. I'm just waiting for someone." Arthur rolled down his window. "Waiting for someone? Who? There's no one coming for you here. This is private property." Elias hesitated. I saw your daughter yesterday. She dropped her doll. I brought it back to her. She told me I could wait here if I needed to." It was a tiny lie, born of desperation, but it was rooted in a gentle truth. He had returned a toy to a little girl named Lily a few days prior. Arthur stiffened. He hated the implication that his family was involved. He saw Elias as a threat, a problem that needed a quick solution. "We don't need any strays around here," Arthur snapped. "I'm going to ask you to leave. Now." The harshness of the man's voice shattered Elias's fragile hope. He nodded, his shoulders slumping. "Sorry, sir," he whispered, and he turned, disappearing back into the cold, wet night. Arthur watched the boy go, a strange feeling of emptiness settling in his stomach. As he walked into his warm, elegant home, his wife greeted him with a kiss. "Arthur, you just missed Lily," she said. "She's so excited to see you. She was telling me all about the kind boy who found her doll." Arthur stopped. "The kind boy?" "Yes," his wife continued. "He was just so sweet. He had such sad eyes, but he was so gentle with her. She said he promised he'd try to come back tomorrow to say hello to her." Arthur looked at the rain streaking down the window. He looked at his daughter's artwork on the fridge, stick figures holding hands. He saw himself, this great and powerful man, kicking a child out into the storm. He realized that in his quest to protect his family, he had become the very monster he feared. He hadn't seen a boy in need. He had seen a problem. He hadn't seen a human being. He had seen an inconvenience. He felt a heavy lump in his throat. He grabbed his coat without a word to his wife and ran out into the rain. He didn't know where to look, but he drove slowly down the street. He found Elias in the rain-soaked alley behind the library, trembling and cold, trying to stay awake. Arthur got out of the car, the rain soaking his expensive suit. He walked over to the boy and knelt down. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice breaking. "I was wrong." Elias looked up, confused and frightened. "Sir." Arthur saw the cuts on his hands, the mud on his sneakers, and the pure exhaustion in his young face. "I shouldn't have sent you away. You are not a stray. You are someone's child. And tonight you're coming home with me." Arthur didn't just give Elias a meal and a warm bed, he gave him a family. He brought Elias into his home, not as a charity case but as a son. He discovered that Elias was a brilliant, gentle boy who just needed a chance. Arthur's heart softened, and the stress that once consumed him faded away. In helping the boy, he saved himself. He watched Elias and Lily become best friends, and his wife found a new purpose in nurturing this broken child back to health. Arthur funded Elias's education, bought him new clothes, and gave him a room of his own. He taught Elias how to read a balance sheet, but Elias taught Arthur how to read a heart. The millionaire realized that while he had built a fortune, he had neglected to build the most important thing of all: genuine love. It wasn't the money that changed Elias's life, it was the acceptance, the simple act of a man seeing a boy and choosing to care. Today Elias is a successful engineer, but he still visits Arthur every Sunday. He calls him Dad. They are just a family now, the brilliant old man and the boy he found in the rain. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change someone's entire world. If this story touched your heart, share it with a friend. And remember, we are all just waiting for someone to see us. Be that someone.